Today's number is 34.4. That is, in percentages, the share of American businesses paying for Anthropic this month. 1 year ago, that number was just under 8%. This month, it finally crossed OpenAI's number, which is 32.3%, and dropped almost 3 points in the same window, per RAM's May AI index released just last week. For the first time since the AI race began, more American businesses are paying for Anthropic than they are for OpenAI. The scoreboard has definitely flipped on this one. We'll get that in today's lead. I'm Don McKaylick, and this is your Morning Intelligence for Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. All right. In the lead today, we have the federal jury in Oakland who took less than 2 hours to rule against Elon Musk in his case against OpenAI, the most watched AI trial of the year. It's finally over. Microsoft's AI chief says marketing, accounting, project management, and legal will all be automated within 18 months. Someone bet him $100,000 that he is wrong. Meta lays off 8,000 people tomorrow, and Google I.O kicks off this afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. In the deep cut, for the first time in history, more businesses are buying Anthropic than OpenAI. We unpack what that actually means for the AI tool you use at work. And we close with a robot named Bebop, who got his own window seat on a Southwest flight. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Yesterday, federal court, Oakland, closing arguments in the Musk versus OpenAI case wrapped Thursday afternoon. The advisory jury began deliberating Monday morning, and they came back 90 minutes later. Unanimous verdict against Elon Musk on every single count. The judge, Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers, formally adopted the advisory verdict from the bench. 3 weeks of testimony from Musk himself, from Sam Altman, from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, from OpenAI co-founder Ilya Sutskever, wrapped in less time than it takes to watch a movie. Quick reminder for what the case was all about. Musk was arguing that when OpenAI converted from a nonprofit to a profit company, it breached the charitable trust under which he had funded it. He wanted unjust enrichment damages. He wanted government changes. He wanted a court to declare that the company building ChatGPT had betrayed its founding promise. The jury, per reporting from CNBC and the AP, hung up on one specific question: the statute of limitations. They concluded Musk filed the claim too late. That's it. That's the whole thing. Musk and his attorney have already said that they will appeal to the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Musk himself called the verdict, quote, a calendar technicality, end quote. So this is not technically over, but the trial chapter, the one the show has been tracking for pretty much the last couple months, is officially closed. Why does this story matter? Why are we putting a cap on it? Well, just to read it back, that was 2 hours, less than 2 hours, a 3-week trial. Witnesses included the CEOs of two of the most valuable companies on the planet, and the jury was done before lunch, all in under 2 hours. If ChatGPT lives anywhere in your work week, if Claude does, if Copilot does, if any of the tools that came out of OpenAI live anywhere in how you do your job, here is what the verdict actually changes for you. OpenAI walks into Google I.O. week with no legal cloud hanging over it whatsoever. It's officially done. The Brockman product reorg we covered yesterday, well, that goes ahead full speed. The Apple dispute we covered Friday, OpenAI can now focus on it without splitting their attention. The Anthropic competitive context, which is the deep cut today, and we'll get to that here in a minute. OpenAI can now show up to that fight without one hand tied behind its back and focus elsewhere. There was a version of yesterday where the jury came back the other way. In that version, OpenAI was facing a court-ordered governance overhaul. The product roadmap would stall and be completely blown up. The Apple negotiations would probably freeze. The valuation conversation we're about to get into would change materially. That version didn't happen. There is no restructure. There's no damage rewards. There's no court-ordered government changes. The company you use at work is the same company today that it was last week, minus one very large distraction. The bottom line here, for 3 weeks, this trial has been the story everyone in tech was watching. Yesterday, it ended in time it takes to eat a lunch and watch a movie. And the company at the center of it gets to go right back to work. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's rundown. Mustafa Suleyman is the CEO of Microsoft AI. He runs the division that builds Copilot. the AI tool that lives inside of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. 400 million Office users touch this product nearly every single day. This past weekend, in a Financial Times conversation, he said this, and this is actually per Fortune's reporting: AI will reach human level performance across most professional tasks within the next 18 months. And then he named four job categories specifically: accounting, legal work, marketing, and project management. If your job involves, quote, sitting down at a computer, end quote, Suleiman put a timer on it, late 2027. The reaction came fast. A prominent AI researcher publicly bet him $100,000 that that 18-month timeline is absolutely wrong. The data so far, per CNBC's labor coverage we ran a couple weeks ago, supports him. AI is automating parts of jobs, but it's not eliminating whole roles. Software engineers are becoming, quote, builders. Marketers using AI for drafts by writing strategies themselves. Two things can be true at once here. The most senior AI executive at Microsoft named your category, and the actual hiring data does not yet show what he is describing. If you work in one of those four boxes, the timeline matters more than his prediction. Sure, watch the data, but don't necessarily follow the headline here. But if you do believe it, maybe bet him $100,000. Who knows? All right, our second story in the rundown. Tomorrow, Wednesday, May 20th, 8,000 people at Meta will get an email telling them they no longer work there. 10% of Meta's total workforce. The cuts hit Reality Labs, they'll hit Facebook's social division, recruiting, sales, and global operations. Meta is also canceling 6,000 open job requisitions. So the effective headcount reduction is 14,000. Severance, 16 weeks of base pay plus 2 additional weeks per year of tenure, 18 months of healthcare coverage. And it's not just a Meta story. In the week ending March 14th, four companies explicitly cited AI as the reasons for their cuts. Bill cut 30% of its workforce, Upwork cut 25%, Coinbase 14%, Cloudflare 20%, all within 7 days, all naming AI as the reason. The 2026 total so far, per the TrueUp and Crunchbase trackers I was taking a look at, 113,863 workers are cut across 179 total layoff events, 831 job losses per day on average. Here is the framing I think this audience should take a look at. Meta is not cutting because it's struggling. They actually posted record results this year. Meta is cutting because it is spending up to $135 billion on AI infrastructure in this year alone. That is nearly double last year. The headcount is simply just the offset. If your week touches Instagram, WhatsApp, or Threads, even, who knows, the people building those platforms might change tomorrow. All right, final story in today's rundown. Two of the biggest AI moments of the year landed within 48 hours of each other. Today, 1 p.m. Eastern, Google I.O. The keynote, expected announcements per Android Authority and Tom's Guide, maybe even a new Gemini model, possibly Gemini 4. The Omni multimodal pipeline that processes text, image, and video all in one fell swoop. Android XR smart glasses with Samsung and Warby Parker are expected to be announced as well. In the official unveiling of Gemini Spark, which we've covered before, the background agent that, per its own leak disclaimer, may make purchases without you asking. Free on YouTube, 30 minutes of your day. Take a look at it. Then on Wednesday afternoon, 5 p.m., NVIDIA reports Q1 earnings. Wall Street consensus per CNBC and S&P Global, roughly $80 billion in revenue. If they hit it, biggest single quarter in the company's history. Polymarket has the beat at roughly 90%. So what? Well, Google I.O. tells you what arrives on your phone and your laptop by this summer. NVIDIA tells you whether the infrastructure backing all of it is still accelerating. One lands by lunch, the other lands on Wednesday. So watch I.O. live if you can, and glance at the NVIDIA earnings if you can as well. We'll make sure to cover both if you don't. All right. If you're enjoying Morning Intelligence, do me a quick favor this morning. Go ahead and share this episode with one person in your life, that one person who keeps asking you about what's going on in the AI world. If you share the episode with them, they get a little bit more informed, you look awesome, and you help the show grow. So I greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's deep cut. Ramp is a corporate spend platform. Thousands of businesses run their company cards through it every single month. And every month, Ramp publishes something called the AI Index. Not necessarily a survey, it's not a vibe, it's what businesses actually pay for in dollars on their corporate cards. Well, last week, the May AI Index dropped. Anthropic is at 34.4% of business AI adoption. OpenAI is at 32.3%. For the first time in the history of the index, Anthropic is on top. Now, let me give you the speed of this shift. 12 months ago, April 2025, Anthropic was just at under 8%. Today, it's at 34.4%. They quadrupled their business adoption share in 1 year. That's insane. OpenAI grew 0.3% over the same year. So to read that back, Anthropic quadrupled versus 0.3 for OpenAI. Some context to build around these numbers here. Anthropic's annual revenue run rate is now reportedly about $44 billion. The number of customers spending over $1 million a year, that doubled in 2 months from 500 to 1,000. And quietly, Anthropic is in late stage talks to raise $30 billion in new financing at the $900 billion valuation. Per Bloomberg, the round is expected to close by the end of this month. If it does, Anthropic becomes the most valuable private AI company in the world, and it makes it official, topping OpenAI for the first time on the scoreboard, too. One important note before we move on here. The RAMP index measures corporate card spend. That's real money, but it does not capture the very largest enterprise agreements, the ones negotiated by procurement teams over months. At the very top of the market, the picture may look different, so treat this like a real shift, but maybe not a complete one. Why is this worth your time? Well, if you use Claude at work, your company is now in the majority. That's new. As of last month, it wasn't necessarily the case. If you use ChatGPT, you are watching the lead change in real time. And there is a procurement conversation happening at your IT team's level that you may not be in the room for. The AI vendor on your work laptop may not be the one you have today by this time next year. For 2 years, the only question in the AI race was this: when does OpenAI extend its lead? As of this month, the question is completely different. The takeaway here: the AI scoreboard is a story the show covers almost nearly every single episode. Today, the scoreboard moved in favor of Anthropic. All right, before we close out today, a quick fun closer here. Earlier this month, a robotics event employee named Eli Ben Abraham, she works for a Dallas company called Elite Event Robotics, walked up to a Southwest Airlines counter in Oakland with two boarding passes, one for her and one for her robot. The robot's name is Bebop. 4 feet tall, 70 pounds, Bebop got in line, Bebop got through the gate, Bebop sat down in the aisle seat. The crew, per the report, moved Bebop to the window. The carry-on bag did not pass airline rules. And then the lithium batteries got pulled, confiscated, per the same airline rules that confiscate everyone else's lithium batteries. The flight was delayed over an hour. We're building AI that, per Microsoft's chief AI, will automate accounting and marketing and legal work within the next 18 months. And we are flipping the AI adoption scoreboard, and we're spending $135 billion to rebuild the largest tech company in the world around AI. And yet, we have not figured out the TSA rules for a 4-foot robot. That's absolutely crazy to think about. All right. For tomorrow, 8,000 emails go out to Meta employees. And tomorrow afternoon, NVIDIA reports what is expected to be the largest revenue quarter of the company's history. And obviously, we'll walk through everything Google announces today at I.O., Gemini 4, Spark, and all that good stuff. So hope to see you tomorrow. And that's your morning intelligence for Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe from wherever you're listening. Share it with that one friend who keeps asking you, hey, what's going on in the world of AI? You know who they are. I'm Don Michele. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.